Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this case doing a video that was requested by someone on Instagram. Mine is Fairfile308. You'll find the link in the description of the video there below, and you'll find the links for my books as well. The Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse, based on my experience of the economic collapse in Argentina, and Street Survival Skills, which covers a lot of the practical aspect of preparedness and being safe out there on the streets when things get tough. Anyway, this is basically how you identify that you have a real Glock knife rather than a counterfeit. There's a few counterfeits out there. If you follow some of these checks, you'll be good. You won't be tricked into buying anything that's not the original thing. First of all, how is it that your Glock knife arrives? Well, it's gonna be pretty much like this. Usually you don't see them in any kind of blister or box. May well be the case in some places or in some presentations. Usually it's like that. It's just the knife in the sheath and no box, nothing else. Why? Well, mostly these are intended for military use, and that's their main market, I suppose. I guess a lot of these are being sold in the civilian market. Let me know if you see it in other presentations, like where in your country, if you get it like in a box, in a blister or something like that. The ones I've got over the years, I've got these all without any sort of box or blister packaging. That would be one of the things. Usually they are quite affordable, around the $40 range, $35, $40 range. That's usually the price you have for a Glock, which it's surprising that these are being counterfeited because of how affordable they are, but I know that they are. I've seen them, and I know that's the case. There's a couple manufacturers counterfeiting Glocks, and if you don't know what to look for, you may be tricked. So first of all, these are made in Austria, and it will say so in the knife itself. Let me see if I can get that a close-up of the marking there. Okay, made in Austria, Glock model 78. 78 is a model that doesn't have the saw on the back, and yeah, there it is. It says it quite clearly. That's the kind of lettering. If any variation, well, the earlier models had like a rounded logo for Glock, so those earlier models are different. This one, the current version, it's been in the market for a few years now. This is the way it should look. Model 78, no saw. That's the letter being used right there. Other than that, the knife is finished with a very soft and nothing like those egg texture. Having trouble getting this to focus on the camera, but you won't see these with any eggshell epoxy type of texture. This is super soft. There's no friction whatsoever. No friction at all, just very nicely done. And this is the way I think a knife should be finished if you're going to be putting like a black paint or epoxy, right? So if you see anything that's like eggshell textured, no, that is not a real Glock knife. The Glock knife also usually comes quite sharp out of the box. It's usually razor sharp. This one will cut paper with no problem. Let me actually show you. It's not always the case, because there are some that don't come this sharp out of the box. I've had experience with both. Usually this is how sharp it comes out of the box, which is quite sharp, right? I bought some, even in the same batch, because I have several, but even in the same batch, I've come across some that would not cut paper. Nothing. It just wouldn't do it because it wasn't, sharpened properly. They are intended as field use, type of knives, and they won't have usually the best. I mean, not usually. Again, in my experience, most cases I've got them very sharp, but I've had experience with some of them not being this sharp at all and not even going through paper like that. So keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that if your Glock is not perfectly sharp, then you can actually check. Look at the edge. how it is, and if it's not you know, all that well finished, then probably you have to finish it up yourself a little bit. My advice is that if you're going to be using these for actual cutting, you want to reprofile that edge a little bit. Check out this one, is the one I use the most, and as you see that the finish does come off, it's not going to be something bomb proof. That's not the idea. The idea is to have something that's black and non-reflective, I assume, but you have to reprofile that edge a little bit, and then you'll have a decent cutting tool if it wasn't that way out of the box. But even if it is, because of the angle, this is going to be losing that sharp edge rather fast. So reprofiling it and dropping a few degrees makes a lot of sense. This is the 78. This is the model with this saw, and it's the model 81. As it says there, close up, model 81, made in Austria, saw or root saw, depending on where you're reading this from. I think that in the Glock website they say that's a root saw. It's not really that good of a saw, I just don't like it all that much, but this is the model that you would be getting. And steel is going to be 1095, meaning it's going to be a steel that's going to be rusting on you pretty fast, especially here on the edge. It seems to have some kind of coating underneath even the paint, because it's not rusting really that easily, but on the edge you will see a few spots if you're not careful. It is 1095 at a 55 Rockwell hardness, which is, you know, kind of soft, but ideal for a field knife, a bayonet, which is this knife. This knife is a bayonet. It's a Glock bayonet, which is intended for a Steyr rifle from the Austrian army, right? So you have a metal tube there that just goes into your rifle fixed there. And this does not go through. Some people think that because you have metal here, it goes all the way through. No, this only goes this far or so, and the metal tube about the same thing, but it's not coming together in the middle. You have these two separate, if you watch some of the graphics that, I think at the Glock website you have those as well. Other than that, really a fantastic knife if you keep these things in mind. If you want a, you know, specific cutting tool, maybe go for a smaller bushcrafty knife for carving, cutting. But I mean, for cutting, it will cut most of the things you need. But if you're going to be carving a lot, then this may not suit you as well. Then you have the polymer handle made by Glock. You will see the markings here as well. It should say Glock there, and it should say Glock here as well, right? And these are injected about their plastic. The plastic that Glock uses, it's the same they use in the pistols. It is extremely tough. This is why this model has been so successful. With a lesser plastic, this tank would have been breaking through the handle a lot more often in some of these torture videos. Because of the Glock plastic being as good as it is, this polymer being as tough as it is, you'll probably see the blade break before you see the plastic snap there. You will find a little bit of a gap. That's perfectly normal. So that's no indication, oh, I have a counterfeit. No, that is not an indication of your Glock not being original. And yeah, that's basically it. Those are the things to look for, right? And if all of this matches, yeah, you definitely have a Glock knife, an original Austrian-made Glock knife. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Helps you out for some of the people out there that were wondering about some of these things. And yeah, have a great day. See you on our next video. Take care.